Hello, everyone out there. What a week of high school football in the state of Arkansas this past Friday. We're going to go over with you over these next little bit, but I'm Jeremy Muck. I'm the high school football coordinator at the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, joined by Rex Nelson, senior editor here at the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. And like I said, October 4th, 2019 might be one of the best days of high school football we've seen here in a while in the state of Arkansas, Rex.
What was really incredible, and you were at one of them, but that you had rematches of state championship games in stadiums within a mile of each other. We had a rematch of the 5A state championship. We had a rematch of the 4A state championship. And both of those games come down to the final minutes of play, even though the same teams that won the state championships turned around and won the regular season games.
Absolutely incredible stuff out there on Highway 10. We typically start off at Class 7A, but I think for this week's podcast, we got to start with the 5A and 4A matchups.
Yeah, 5 and 4, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. At Warrior Field at Little Rock Christian Friday night, Pulaski Academy at Little Rock Christian. Little Rock Christian beats Pulaski Academy 63-61. Yes, a lot of points, a lot of touchdowns were scored, but it came down to the left foot of junior Isaiah Hankins. 38 yards with 4 seconds left to win it for the Warriors. I've been remarking about this the last couple days since that night. I could never imagine Pulaski Academy, Little Rock Christian ending with a field goal. Mm-hmm. How unbelievable is that, Rex?
Yeah, absolutely. But it sounded like it was an unbelievable game. You've been on a good streak, Jeremy. You've gotten some good games this year on the Friday nights that you've been covering high school football. But we had gone on the air. I do a statewide scoreboard show that goes live at 10 o'clock. That game was not over until about 10:30, and there were several lead changes in the time we were already on the air when we've usually got final scores, and we were updating them as soon as we would get a score change. That's how much interest there was in that game and how wild that game came down to be.
The lead changes over the last 3 minutes, really. 1:22 left. Christian was trailing 61-54. Akeem Gilmore threw a 15-yard touchdown pass to Kendall Givens. Two-point run failed, leaving the score 61-60. Little Rock Christian decides to go for the onside kick. A little bit of taste of Pulaski Academy does the onside kicks. Now all of a sudden Little Rock Christian does it, and they recover it. Corey Platt gets it for the Warriors. They drive down the field. Hankins kicks the field goal. They stop PA on their one last drive. Just incredible finish out there at Warrior Field.
Yeah, it sounded like it must have been some game, and I think, again, we could see these two in a rematch in the playoffs. I mean, Christian, Pulaski Academy, awfully good, but so is Harrison. They'll have a lot to say about who's in that state championship game before all is said and done.
You mentioned the playoffs, and the brackets are already out on Max Preps. The blank brackets are. And this is how big this game was Friday night. Let's say Pulaski Academy and Little Rock Christian finish 1-2, or Little Rock Christian finishes 1, Pulaski Academy finishes 2.
They both win out, in other words.
If they both win out, Christian gets a tiebreaker, wins the conference. Okay, you have Pulaski Academy possibly as a number 2 seed in the Central. Could possibly have to go up to maybe Harrison in the second round of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. That would be pretty incredible to think about. Thinking about Pulaski Academy going on the road in the second round of the playoffs. But that's a scenario that could very well happen in November. But we got a lot of games going on until then. And you did mention Harrison. I mean, Harrison rolls over Clarksville 49-3. Gabe Husky and the Goblins get it done one more time.
Yeah, they're playing well. They're playing well every week. They're consistent. And so, it seems like, well, we're going to get that Christian PA rematch. But again, Harrison could have something to say before we get to that point come playoff time.
It's a great senior class they have up there at Harrison. I've said it all season long with them. That's a team that could very well get the Little Rock. So let's definitely not sleep on the Goblins for sure. And just by the way, the Goblins are coming to Central Arkansas on Friday night. They're going to Valonia, and like I posted on Twitter over the weekend, that's the game that I'll be at on Friday night. Harrison at Valonia. Really like that matchup with the running backs with Gabe Husky at Harrison and Draven Smith for Valonia. He's had a couple 200-yard games so far this season for the Eagles.
Do I sense that maybe you want 2 strong running teams and not have that deadline pressure that you had with 2 passing teams in Pulaski Academy and Little Rock Christian?
I mean, You know, it helps. It helps where you can give yourself your own game.
Yeah.
That does help, but at the same time, I really do want to see Harrison play.
I understand.
I want to see Harrison
Have a
play.
little fun with you.
I mean, I want to see Harrison play, and that's a good team. And plus, I want to see Valonia play too. Ty Langrel's done a good job out there at Valonia, and you know they've had a good run this year so far. And you know maybe Langrel's going to get the Eagles going, and they're also 2-0 in the 5A West. So that's a matchup on Friday night where you know Harrison. That's going to be a game where you know maybe Harrison wins that game, but Valonia's going to give them a test on Friday night.
Yeah, I think they will.
You know, we're going to mention the big matchup in Class 4A this past Friday night, also on Highway 10. Arkadelphia and Joe T. Robinson, just back and forth game. The big story in that game, obviously Arkadelphia won the game 28-27 on the blocked extra point, but Arkadelphia lost senior quarterback Cannon Turner with a shoulder injury. He was playing defense, and you know he hurt his shoulder, came out of the game in the second half. Just you know, big loss for the Badgers. Don't know the time frame of his injury yet as of this recording, but just Arkadelphia still comes back and wins his football game
without their quarterback,
without Cannon Turner. What does that say about Arkadelphia right now?
Yeah, they didn't seem to miss a beat on offense. Cannon Turner has started since his 9th grade year. He's led his team to back-to-back state championships, and he returned an interception for a touchdown in the first half of that game. They still win it. So Nashville beats Arkadelphia the previous week on a last-minute field goal. Arkadelphia comes back and beats Robinson on a blocked extra point. Now you've got Nashville going to Robinson this week. The big three, as I call them, in the toughest conference in 4A, all in your top 6, having to really scrap on 3 consecutive weeks against each other.
What I can say about the 7-4A right now, especially the top 3, get your kicks in the 7-4A.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable what's going on in that conference right now, especially with the field goals right now.
Yeah.
But just you know,
I have a hard time picking between Joe T. Robinson and Nashville. I think that is a game that very easily could go either way on Friday night.
You know, Arkadelphia had that tough loss against Nashville, came back and won against Robinson. Robinson has a tough loss against Arkadelphia. Can the Senators rebound from that loss? In the 7-4A, you can't dwell on a loss, because if you dwell on a loss, you're gonna get beat.
Yeah.
And especially now, Robinson doesn't have any time to worry about the loss to Arkadelphia. They got Nashville coming in. Number 1 Nashville, by the way.
Absolutely. Outside of that conference in 4A, Shiloh Christian keeps rolling. They won 58-0 over Green Forest. And you know, last week we were talking about how shocked we were that Crossett beat Warren. Warren comes back to beat Star City 35-21, and yet they have to struggle a little bit. I still think Warren usually makes a deep run in the playoffs, and I think they very well could, but their talent level could be down just a little bit by Warren standards this year.
Definitely by their standards, and I think right now they're they're feeling each other out. You know, a lot of new kids playing, so you know, just trying to get used to each other. Even in this point of the season, it may take a whole season for that to happen. So,
yeah.
But you mentioned Crossett. Crossett beats Dumas 46-16. Beat the Bobcats by 30. I think right now, Rex, you look at the Crossett Eagles.
Yeah.
In 2 consecutive weeks, they've beat Warren and Dumas, who were the 2 teams in the offseason where we're thinking those might be the favorites in the 8-4A. But right now, Crossett 2-0. Who could have ever thought that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a while since we've had strong Crossett teams. There's a great tradition down there, though. I mean, going back 40 plus years, Jeremy, to when I played in a district that included Crossett, there's a great football tradition down there. So it's kind of good to see them back again.
Absolutely. Just other big scores in the 4A. You know, Mills beating CAC 38-35. Cortez Lee gets his second win at Mills, and now they're 1-1 in the 2-4A. Riverview improves to 2-0. They beat Southside Batesville, a good Southside Batesville team, 35-7. Drake Widener 2-0 in the 2-4A with the Riverview Raiders. How about Drake Widener right now at Riverview?
Yeah, playing well. And again, one of those teams that seems to be getting, as we're at the midway point now of the regular season, to be getting in gear for a playoff run later this year.
You know, Dardanelle down to 4-4A, 52-18 over Waldron. Dardanelle Sand Lizards, one of my favorite names in the state.
Amen.
5-0. 5-0 for the Dardanelle Sand Lizards. Pretty good run by them right now. But let's shift gears a little bit. Let's go up to Class 7A. Class 7A. This is not a recording. This is Bryant.
Wow.
Bryant.
They get better and better.
Bryant, 5th consecutive week or 5th consecutive game with a sportsmanship rule victory. 56-7 over a pretty good Little Rock Catholic team. The defense does it again for the Hornets. I mean, this run that the Hornets are on right now, Rex, this is pretty unbelievable right now, even by their standards.
It really is. And then they turn around and they go play the best Central team we've seen in a long time. They play a 4-1 Central team at Quigley this week. So that could be very interesting. But again, I said it last week, and I'm not trying to take the excitement out of everything. And I know Bentonville's going to have a lot to say before all's said and done in 7A. But, boy, it just seems like to me it's becoming Bryant and everybody else in 7A and Greenwood and everybody else in 6A right now.
Yeah, I mean, Greenwood 52-24 over El Dorado. El Dorado held their own there in the first half, but Greenwood pulled away in the second half. You know, the Bulldogs improved to 5-0 once again. I mean, Greenwood definitely the clear number one in Class 6A. You know, other big scores in Class 6A on Friday night. Lake Hamilton, they're 5-0. They beat Little Rock Hall 42-0. That's a game they steamrolled over the Warriors there. Tommy Gillerin trying to get things going there at Lake Hamilton. He's got those two sophomore running backs right now. They're really good right now down there at Lake Hamilton. You know, Benton's 2-0 in the 6A West.
Yeah, 0-3 in non-conference, and they start 2-0 in conference. And again, Benton could get on a very good run and peak at the right time. They're a team capable of doing that.
And Searcy's now 5-0 in 5-0, 2-0 in the 6A East with a 54-21 victory over West Memphis. We got Searcy number 6. We got Searcy number 2 in our Class 6A poll. I mean, the Searcy Lions, you know, obviously we're saying Greenwood's the clear number 1, but if there's a team or two that might challenge Greenwood in November, possibly Searcy.
Yeah,
with their aerial attack.
I was very impressed by them putting up 54 points on West Memphis last Friday, 54-21. So that's a blowout. This is the best Searcy team in a long time.
You know, Mark Kelly's kind of been building for this. I mean, Mark Kelly's done a great job there at Searcy. He's had some good quarterbacks in the past couple of years, but right now Bryce Dixon is playing as well as anybody has at Searcy these last couple years. Just you know, dropping down to 5A, just going down to the Central. We mentioned Christian and PA earlier, but how about Maumelle? Maumelle goes to 5-0. They beat Little Rock Parkview 35-18. How about the Hornets?
Yeah, they're playing very well. I mean, you talk about Little Rock Christian, you talk about PA, you talk about Harrison, as we've already done, but Maumelle is a team to keep an eye on, and team you've got ranked, Farmington's a team to keep an eye on also at this point.
Really like what Farmington's doing right now with Drew Sturgeon. Farmington holds on to beat Alma 31-25. You know, Farmington 5-0, but on the flip side of it, Alma's 0-5. Yeah. This is you don't see that very often.
And again, a tradition-rich program. But in high school, it's not like college. You can't go recruit. It's not like the pros. You can't go hire people or draft people. You take what comes up through that community, and any high school program, if you go long enough, you're going to have that down year. And a good tradition-rich program like Alma will be back very quickly. But you're gonna run into that from time to time.
You know, absolutely. And you know, other key scores in the Class 5A. Just you know, looking down the line, just you know, Wynn beating GCT 49-21. Wynn still number 4 in our Class 5A poll, and Valley View improves to 5-0. Beating Forest City 35-6. How about the Blazers right now up there?
Yeah. Again, you look up in that Jonesboro area. That's a team that's playing well and a team perhaps to watch to win a few games in the playoffs.
You know, we mentioned Class 4A. We're going to go down to Class 3A. Hardin Academy once again. They're 5-0. They're rolling right now, coming off that win against Clinton. They steamroll Yellville Summit 52-18. How about Hardin Academy right now?
Yeah, playing very well right now. But I've got to tell you, the team that stands out to me is Rison's 30-0 win over a ranked McGee team. This is a good McGee football team. Rison shuts them out 30-0. I probably might have picked Rison, but I wouldn't have picked a 30-point margin in that game. Very, very impressive.
Rison's defense is very good right now, and they got a strong running game with Jamarian Fry. That team right now, I've been high on Rison all year, and that's a team 30-0 over McGee. You expect? I thought Rison was going to beat McGee like you thought, but 30-0, I'm not so sure about that. But that just goes to show you how good this Rison team really is right now.
Yeah, they really are. Again, as I've been saying every week, I think 3A though still is pretty wide open. Rison, Prescott, Osceola, Camden, Harmony Grove, even McGee could come back. Harding Academy, Harrisburg. All capable of winning state championships. There's not that clear-cut favorite in 3A like we have in 7A and 6A right now.
Yeah, definitely in the lower classifications, and definitely going into the year, Class 3A to me was the most wide open. There wasn't one team you could say, okay, that's a state championship team, no doubt about it. But that's the beauty right there of playing a full season. You get to figure that out over the weeks ahead. Dropping down to Class 2A, just looking at Class 2A, Junction City once again, they're number one, beating Hampton 64-6. Hampton right now has been down after making the state championship game a couple years ago. Just kind of a tough deal there. Foreman beats Dirks 28-20. Good win by the Gators. They're also 5-0. Fordyce 44-0 over Strong. So right now, Junction City and Fordyce right now are the class of the A2A. They'll be meeting here in a couple weeks. But
I would keep an eye on Hazen too in 2A. Hazen did not play last week. They had originally scheduled Brinkley for that week. All the population losses we're seeing in Monroe County, Brinkley ends up making the decision to go to the new 8-man football that we're seeing around the state. So Hazen ends up with an open date. They didn't play, but again, I think that's a team that could be at War Memorial Stadium come December.
Absolutely. Just, like we said, just a crazy, crazy Friday night of high school football in the state. Just, going forward with this week, just some of the key games to look out for this week. To me, in Class 7A, just Cabot at Conway to me is a pretty big game. Conway loses to North Little Rock last week. Cabot rebounds and beats Fort Smith Southside. Those teams are both 1-1. This is a big game, possibly for playoff seeding, possibly a top 3 seed in the 7A Central.
Yeah, Cabot starts 3-0, and then they get beat by Little Rock Catholic for a second consecutive year. But as you mentioned, they come off of that and they shut out Southside by a score of 12-0. So I think Coach Scott Reed's going to have a very, very good first year at Cabot. I'm really interested to see if they can go on the road and win at Conway on Friday night.
Down to Class 5A, Maumelle at Pulaski Academy. This is a very intriguing game for me, not just because Maumelle was 5-0, but this is the Pulaski Academy team that's coming off of a regular season conference loss for the first time in a long, long time. And you don't know how kids are going to react to that.
That's true.
These kids are not used to losing at Pulaski Academy. They usually will lose a non-conference game, and they lost the state championship game last year, but they haven't lost in conference.
Yeah.
And and also not only do you lose a conference game, but you lose to your rival Little Rock Christian. And Kevin Kelly said on Friday night to me, he said, "Look, obviously it's a game that's magnified because of your rival, but we have to make sure that we can't let it get to us." And this is a big week for Pulaski Academy, I think, for Kevin Kelly to get and his staff get those kids ready for Maumelle, because Maumelle is not just any other team that's coming in to Joe B. Hatcher Stadium on a Friday night.
Yeah, it's an undefeated Maumelle team. I have a hard time conceiving a Pulaski Academy team losing 2 consecutive conference games, but it could happen.
Just a one other game to look out for is obviously Nashville, Joe T. Robinson.
Yep.
That's big game in the 7-4A. You know, Nashville's 5-0. They're 2-0 in the 7-4A right now. Robinson got their first loss last week, 4-1. Now 1-1 in the 7-4A. Just the Scrappers and Senators. Just another week in the 7-4A, Rex.
Yeah, I think that says it's kind of like in college football when we say another week in the SEC West. That's the 7-4A in high school football in Arkansas. And again, it's just getting to the playoffs there. You have such a tough schedule that if you can get to the playoffs, Nashville, Arkadelphia, Joe T are capable of getting hot and winning a state championship, just as Arkadelphia did last year, even though they started 0-5 in the season.
Absolutely. So, tell you what, y'all, this is another week. The weather is finally football weather, at least for right now.
Yeah, it
Who
feels
knows?
good.
It's Arkansas, so it may very well switch, so don't get too used to it, but that's okay. This week, we start on Thursday night. We got Watson Chapel against Little Rock Parkview at War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock. Then we got a whole slate of games on Friday night. And obviously follow us at the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette for coverage of all high school football here in the state of Arkansas. Also follow me on Twitter at JeremyMuck80G. And if you want to tweet us scores on Friday night, use the hashtag ARPreps. And that's hashtag ARPreps. So for Rex Nelson, I'm Jeremy Muck. Thank you for listening to the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette High School Football Podcast. See you next time.